One more segment to go here as we continue the binge watch playlist of Chair Shot Reality on Wrestling Inc. For over 400 episodes and 8 years, we thank everybody for all the support that you've given us.
Bags under my eyes, Justin. We're getting old.
I mean, literally, we've gone through our 20s with the supportive fan base. We very much appreciate it. It just feels like yesterday I was screaming, Daniel Bryan won't be at SummerSlam, and here we are. SummerSlam.
There's no way Daniel Bryan's appearing at SummerSlam. Your brightest and shining moment. It's been one hell of a ride, and obviously we're going to be back in Point Park Studios here in a couple of weeks. But Justin, SummerSlam Sunday, you're going to be there. You're going to be drinking. You might not remember half of the show like you usually do. A WWE Championship match, though. I think that a lot of people are scratching their heads a little bit. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. No physicality the past 3 weeks. A lot of talking. How do you feel, first off, about this feud, its build, and then who wins the match?
I think it's probably been one of the better builds for an AJ Styles match since he's been champion. I mean, they've took it a little deeper than what his previous feuds have been, which has been pretty much centered around, it's his house that he's built. He's the best in the world. This at least has gone a little personal. It's capitalized on what everybody knows, which is they've known each other for a long time, well before WWE. So they've acknowledged that, taken shots with the family that always hits, that always gets the oohs and the ahs. So I think for a match that the smarter fans, and I'm lumping us into this for a minute, I think for a match that a lot of people would probably go, okay, I don't see AJ losing the title right now. I think by at least having the personal build plus what you expect to be top-notch belt-to-belt action will still make up for what will be probably a predictable outcome, which is AJ Styles retains.
You think WWE will hire TNA's Claire to come out in the crowd and distract AJ Styles? Remember her?
I rember Claire.
Yeah, you remember Claire? I bet you do.
I remember
Claire.
Yeah,
I bet you do. No, but I agree partially with you. The personal feud I get because they have that longevity and history together, performing all over the world. I would have liked a little bit more than just a letter to end SmackDown. It didn't do as much to me as I wanted it to.
Anticlimactic end. For a go-home show, absolutely.
Yeah, and it just ended. As much as I've been griping about how AJ Styles hasn't closed out SmackDowns recently, you had the women's, you had the tag team, I think you had a U.S. Championship match close it out over the World Champion. This is a reason why they didn't do it then. But then they put it at the end, and then that's it, nothing else. So aside from that, I liked everything else before that. I wanted more. I wanted more of AJ Styles' real life. I mean, I know this is crazy, but even to the point of potentially having Samoa Joe not even at the arena, but in Gainesville, Georgia, somewhere that you can see that he's actually trying to locate his family or talk to his family or do something like that, similar to what Triple H and Randy Orton had, that kind of personal thing heading into WrestleMania. They could have been more creative with it, but like you said, at the end of the day, it's going to be about the smart fans appreciating a match, appreciating a better build than this was with Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles over the past few months. And I do think that AJ Styles retains, but the way they've been building it gives you a slight thought that maybe Samoa Joe could potentially win.
Well, and it's those slight thoughts and long shots, which is what separates you when you're playing WrestleRumble.com. You can make predictions for all the matches. Each prediction is worth a certain amount of points, and those who have the most points that finish the top of standings get the prize money, and other prizes. $1,000 is top prize. So go on to WrestleRumble.com, compete against Josh and myself and the rest of the WWE and CSR universe.
Yes, sir.
Let's go into the match that has the briefcase on the line. It is Kevin Owens challenging the monster in the bank, Braun Strowman. Is there any chance that Braun Strowman loses this?
Cue Vince McMahon's music.
Oh, no.
No chance in hell, Justin.
Okay, good,
no
good.
chance.
Good.
No chance in hell.
I thought for a second, I thought you were saying Vince is getting involved in this. I was like, wait a minute.
What?
Okay,
no, you're insane. Cue Vince's music because there's no chance in hell.
I thought Wardlow dropped you on your head. I was just checking.
He did not, actually. I know how to run away from him. But anyway, so I actually think Braun makes not quick work of Kevin Owens because you want to protect Owens a little bit. But I'll say this right now. I am so pissed off at how they're building Kevin Owens the past couple of months. Kevin Owens came in as a guy who wants to fight everybody, and he kind of was liked, but he still was hated, and he still was a heel. Now that all he's doing is running away and being scared, devalues what he was when he was in WWE before he became Universal Champion, a prize fighter. You can still be dirty and have dirty tactics and kind of be a coward when you need to be, but he's not showing, they're not letting him show, not him, they're not letting him show that he actually is kind of a badass, kind of a guy who can fight, who can throw down, and all that they're worried about is the build of Braun. I get it. Braun should have already been Universal Champion before. But this match does nothing for Owens, does nothing for Braun Strowman, unless, and we'll talk about it in a minute, that Braun Strowman cashes in later in the night.
Before we get into Braun and cash in, I almost wonder, Triple H did another one of his media calls this week. He said it over and over about how, we see it a little bit. We've seen it with Tyler Breeze. We've seen it with Revival, about allowing people that have been on the main roster to make some special appearances at NXT for live events, just to kind of, boost the sales. And he's talked about how eventually it should be okay for Raw and SmackDown guys to go to NXT, and it won't be a demotion. It'll be, it'll just be shuffling the deck as you do with the Superstar Shakeup. I wonder, with all that Kevin Owens has done, because Kevin Owens has done a lot. He's feuded with a lot of people. He's won some titles. For all that he's done on Raw or SmackDown, and the fact that NXT has a little bit less of a travel and Kevin's very much a family man, I always wonder if it would benefit Kevin Owens to go to NXT for a few months and be, as Aleister Black's hurt, and you got to figure eventually Gargano or Ciampa might be coming up to Raw SmackDown. I wonder if Kevin Owens is one of the guys that would be okay to go do NXT for a few months just as a breather from the main roster.
Yeah, so I think he wouldn't be against that, because I think he is very much a guy, like you said last week, like CM Punk, like he doesn't necessarily need the fame and the bright lights and all of the multi-million dollars, even though he'd prefer that. And if he's still getting the contract, but he's working some NXT events, I don't think that'll diminish his ego. I think that'll be a good thing for Owens. But Kevin Owens, when he was Universal Champion, he was great. He was excellent. He won the title. He had the best feud with Chris Jericho. As soon as he went to SmackDown, that really killed it for me. And then he came back to Raw. That showed me that WWE doesn't necessarily know if this is a guy that they want to have as a main championship player heading into WrestleMania season. That's what everybody should strive for. They want to be that champion heading into WrestleMania. And Kevin Owens, he's had good matches. He's had great feuds. He's had feuds with Shane and Daniel Bryan and all those guys. But where's he at now?
This is the guy who was almost a year ago. This is the last guy to get physical with Vince McMahon.
And this is where he's at now. And it's funny because we're talking like he's facing Constable Corbin, right? Like we're talking like he's not facing anybody. But the logistics of this match, the way that this match has been built, has absolutely nothing to do with Kevin Owens. Why is he friends with Jinder Mahal, Justin? I have no friggin' idea why him and the modern-day Maharaja are now best friends. Why? Because Sami Zayn's hurt. So it's just frustrating to me.
Jinder Mahal's become his life coach. Namaste. He's getting him calm and doing
Maybe he'll
yoga.
get him into the shape that Jinder is. that ripped out Jinder. Yeah, Jinder's a monster still, but I probably shouldn't say anything about physique. I don't want to Meltzer anybody.
Yeah, let's take away from that one.
Anyway.
All right, Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Brock's going back to UFC. Paul Heyman's playing some games here. Braun Strowman's probably lurking around with a briefcase. What do you got?
Man, this is a good one. I don't know. I want to say Roman Reigns just because I feel the fourth time. Come on. I'm going to hesitantly pick Roman Reigns. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I think Roman finally gets the opportunity. Realistically, I think what ends up happening is Paul Heyman does something to cost Brock Lesnar. We don't see Heyman get extremely physical often. I mean, a spray to the eye is cool. Samoa Joe choking him last year before Great Balls of Fire, that's a little bit of physicality. If there's any time where an I messed this up for Brock Lesnar, it would be at SummerSlam. And that, takes Lesnar off of television, leaves an open-ended door for Lesnar to come back. But, I mean, the Brooklyn crowd, do you really want Roman Reigns to walk out of SummerSlam as the Universal Champion?
Yeah, I mean, I could see Paul Heyman, again, with the mace, trying to go, blind Roman again, and then maybe he gets Brock. I think Roman has to win this. I mean, look, if Brock's leaving and Roman's lost, I think Roman has to win it. I think Braun cashes in and knocks the next night. I can see Brock, who's scheduled to be at Raw the next night, wants his rematch, says that Paul F things up, and then somehow it's a knockdown drag out, and Braun Strowman makes himself in there, whether or not an actual match even takes place or if it's just a big ass brawl. But I think by the time WWE leaves Brooklyn, Braun Strowman is our Universal Champion.
Let me ask you this: Sunday night, Saturday night, what is the match that everybody is going to remember Monday morning?
Oof. Including NXT?
Mm-hmm. It's a big weekend there, LeVar.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to sleep on Ciampa and Gargano because they continue every time to do it. So
one up, yeah. It's a tough one.
It is. It really is. I can't answer because I get ready to want to say Ciampa and Gargano, but then Ronda's performed really well and she's probably going to win the title. Bryan and Miz, I can't imagine that after finally getting this match that they're going to do anything short of
Spectacular, just great wing work. Yeah, great psychology in the ring.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. That's a good
I think it's
question.
going to be Ciampa, Gargano, and Miz Bryan that most people will talk about. People will bitch and complain about Reigns winning. They're going to talk about AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, which I personally think could be the best match. But I will give a slight edge to Ciampa and Gargano for this sole purpose. It's an under 3-hour show. Mm-hmm. The NXT crowd is always better, and that elevates the performers to compete at the best of their abilities. It's going to be great.
To put it in perspective, the total running time of what NXT TakeOver will be just about the total running time of the SummerSlam kickoff show.
That is true.
Think about that. Think about that.
I know. And we'll have the gracious Pat McAfee letting us roll into NXT with a couple of chuckles. I'm excited about it.
Leave a comment. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to Wrestling Inc. It is Chairshot Reality every single weekend. He's Josh Eisenberg 4 on Twitter. I'm Justin LeBar on Twitter. Play WrestleRumble.com. It's a whole lot of fun. We'll be back next week to analyze just how right or wrong we really are.